Hi everyone. I want to apologize first of all for this being a little bit delayed. Normally I have these up by Monday pretty early. As some of you may know, I was in Montana for a week visiting Missoula and a guy. So anyway, for those of you interested, everything went wonderfully, and yeah, I may be blushing. I don't know. Anyway, so for those of you who are used to being in my classroom, having a little bit of chat about what's going on in life is pretty much par for the course. So that being said, I spent a week in a place full of mountains, and so I did a lot of trail running, hiking, climbing. I did what's called bagging a peak, which means I literally climbed to the peak of a mountain, Mount Chappaqua, which was phenomenal. And that was about a 9,000 feet altitude there, which is really cool. So my body is ready for some yin. So I don't know what you did last week, but I climbed mountains and ran trails, and it was phenomenal. So we're going to do some yin today. I'm going to do poses that shouldn't require that you need any stuff. However, do grab like a blanket or pillows or something like that. You can even have like pillows from your couch or from your bed just to like jam under you if you need some support. But also, my request is that perhaps you can get yourself close to a wall. I'd like to use the wall for a couple things if possible. So let's start. Let's just do a little bit of movement. I know I normally don't do this before a yin class, but since my hips are tight, maybe yours are too. So come into your comfortable cross-legged position. Let's just start with rotating your torso like we normally do. And with this movement, I try to say this regularly, but I may not enough. This movement is whatever you need it to be. I like doing this first thing in the morning. This is great just sitting in bed. You don't need to do anything fancy. You don't need to be wearing any fancy clothes. When I do this movement, I feel this right in my hip sockets, and I'm really trying to get my pelvis to sort of rotate on my sit bones so that that's getting a lot of different type of rotation on the femur bone and the greater trochanter that locks in or goes into your hip socket. So there's that, and then let's move it up into the waist. This is a strange movement for people. This isn't something that you do normally, and you're working on stretching and moving all kinds of abdominal muscles, and this is in the front, side, and back. So I think frequently I see people rotating their whole torso, but see if you can keep your pelvis planted and let all of your, your waist, your belly, your organs sort of rotate around all of that. This is also going to give you a nice massage to your internal organs as well. This can help with digestion, elimination, and all of that. And let's move this up into your rib cage. So this is going to get, by working on moving your rib cage specifically, again, I know that this may be challenging for some of you, and trying to get your body to really understand what it's supposed to be doing can be strange, so don't worry about that. But this helps with stretching also. This gets some of the lumbar spine by moving the thoracic spine. And this helps to also open up your chest. All right, let's go in the opposite direction. Bring your other leg in front, rotate in the opposite direction. And I like bringing the other leg in front. I don't know how much I've ever discussed all the intricacies of these simple movements in the beginning. I bring the other leg in front just because the first leg that you chose was likely your dominant leg, but even if it's not your dominant leg, that's a cross-legged position that you naturally take. So we're going for the non-dominant or unnatural leg in front. And I usually do feel more tension in that hip socket, all those connectors in the hip. This also helps with your brain. So putting the unnatural leg in front, the non-dominant leg, your brain has to balance you better. You know, you can feel that's sort of awkward. Okay, bring it up into your waist. And so if you are, well, most people have a dominant side, and so doing this kind of rotation in both directions, and especially with this non-dominant leg in front, you're trying to do the exact same movement, going in the opposite direction, as a way of stretching and toning the muscles as evenly as possible, as symmetrically as possible, by doing this on the other side. Our bodies are not symmetrical. There's only so much we can do with these things. All right, let's bring it up into your rib cage. And you may find that going in one direction is way more awkward than going in the other, and that's when you take it slow. So if going in this direction, for example, it's harder to find a nice smooth circle to make, then take it slower and sort of smooth out the edges. Because then you're really going to get that stretch and tone of the muscles on that side. All right, come back to center. Grab onto your shins, rock over your sit bones. Inhale your belly button forward, exhale it back, and do your best to keep your shoulders over your hips. So you're not rocking your entire body, you're not rocking your whole torso, you're focusing on rocking just your pelvis. I know this is a strange movement, I get it. I think sometimes you also feel kind of like an infant doing this, but I mean, truly, a lot of what we're trying to do with your body is bringing you back to the body and flexibility and resilience that you had before you were in kindergarten, when you were put into chairs, right? So a lot of these movements you've done before. It's just been a really long time. Okay, hands to your knees. Inhale your chest forward, exhale it back. You're still going to have a little bit of rocking in your pelvis, but we're not focusing on that. You're focusing on stretching your chest open and then stretching your back body open. Inhale forward, exhale, press it back. So your inhale, you're allowing your ribs to expand, lungs to expand. Your exhale, you're drawing it all in. On your next inhale, lift your chin to the ceiling. Exhale, chin to chest. Press the back of your neck up to the ceiling, getting a nice stretch on your spinal cord. Inhale, lift your chin. Try to go slow. You're also trying to build your lung capacity. Exhale, chin to chest. Keep your shoulders dropped. Do that once more. Inhale, lift your chin. And exhale, chin to chest. Keep your chin against your chest. Drop your shoulders. Press the back of your neck up to the ceiling. Lengthen the back of your spine as much as you can, keeping your skull dropped. Now let's do, so since we're working on some deep stretching today, bring your hands underneath your thighs and start to roll down, rolling your chin into your chest, bringing your forehead. You're aiming to get your forehead towards your shins. You may or may not get there. That's irrelevant. You're going to lean your body forward and keep tucking your chin in. Take nice deep breaths. And sort of roll back up. releasing your hands. Left arm out to the left, right hand to your heart. Inhale, draw your left arm back. Exhale, draw your right arm back. Inhale left, exhale right. Inhale left, exhale right. Now let's inhale right, exhale left. Inhale right, exhale left. Your exhale creates extra pounds of force on that side of the body that it lands on. So that's why we're mixing it up. Also, your lungs are two different sizes. So this exhaling and inhaling may feel different, also because of just a difference in lung size. And come back to center. Relax the tops of your shoulders. Relax your neck. Okay. Since we're in a seated position, well, most of our yin poses are seated. Let's start with let's start with the version of Paschimottanasana. In yin, everything has a different name. So in this one, it's caterpillar pose. I don't know why. Legs out in front, your legs are going to be relaxed. Now, one thing that you can do is if you have, and I have nothing to use as an example, I guess maybe blankets, but if you have like some pillows or something that you can sort of lodge underneath your calves, underneath your shins, to keep your legs from rolling out, then that might keep your toes upright. So many people, your feet fall open, okay? If you're a foot falling open kind of person, then see if you can put something, doesn't matter, it does not have to be fancy, put something on the outside edges of your calves, let your legs relax, but we're letting the legs relax with your knees and toes pointing up towards the ceiling. All you're doing is just ragdoll forward, okay? So you're going to be hanging on to this. We're going to hang on to this for, 3 to 4 minutes, okay? So as you're breathing in this, so you are breathing, take long, deep breaths. Fill your lungs completely, empty your lungs completely. And if you do not like having your head hanging, which I don't particularly, I like to sit with my elbows on my legs and my forehead resting on my hands, just to relax my neck. And my forehead, the weight of my skull, actually just keeps my arms there, so I feel like I can actually relax completely and not have anything engaged. And then as you're sitting here breathing, as you are letting yourself go, every once in a while check in and see if there's any more space that you can take up. Lengthen your spine a little bit more. And use where your body is positioned as a guide to see and notice how, and it's not that your goal is to go deeper into the pose, but you're just seeing the progress that you're making in the stretch. So for example, my elbows are behind my knees right now. Well, maybe in a couple of minutes, I'll be able to bring my elbows in front of my knees. Actually, I can do that right now. Feel okay with that. And then once you rearrange and resituate yourself, then take assessment of your body, see if you can relax a little bit more. Notice if muscles engaged. So in yin, I'm going to be talking through some of this. Ignore me all you like. In yin, we do a combination of symmetrical and asymmetrical poses. That's typical of anything that you do physically in life. Some symmetrical, some asymmetrical. And if you notice that one side is extremely different from the other, then, and I usually start stretches, I usually start asymmetrical poses on the left side because that's not my dominant side. And you frequently stay longer on the first side that you do, just because your perception is different. So if you find that one side is extremely different from the other, you can stay longer on one side, or you can go back to it. So knowing that, so we've been in this pose now for about 2.5 minutes. About 2.5 minutes. If you know that, or if you find out that, let's say, you know, the next pose that we do, that one side is tighter than the other, then you can stay in that side longer, or you can cut short the next side and then just tack those minutes on to the first side. You know what I mean? So you do not have to stay equal amount of time in both sides. But also, don't expect both sides to feel the same. And so you don't need to treat them the same either. All right, bring yourself up. So let's do Janu Sirshasana, and in Yin pose, in Yin, this is called Dragonfly. So I'd like you to try to do that same thing with sort of jamming something underneath that calf if you have a tendency for that foot to roll out. So usually when the foot rolls out, that means that there's a weakness on the inner muscle. So, and that outer muscle is pulling that leg open. So by letting, and you don't do a whole lot, it doesn't take a whole lot to get a really good stretch. So you can jam it under here so that we're working on the stretch happening with the knee and toe pointed up. Also, if you have really tight hamstrings and your pose, if you feel like you're just sort of flopping like this, then one of the blankets or pillows that we just used on that side to prop up your leg, sit on it. Put the edge of your butt on it, not your full butt, just the edge of it, so that you can, so that I want you to feel like you're falling off, okay? Your sit bone, let me feel where my sit bones are. My sit bones are right on the edge, and I'm purposely tipping my torso forward to feel like I'm going to fall off, okay? So now, let me check the time, okay? Same deal, all right? Just let yourself flop forward. And I'd like for you to try to keep your spine parallel to your left leg. If I didn't say left leg, it doesn't really matter. Whatever leg is in front, just keep it there. My mind is still in Montana, I'll be very honest with you. So allow yourself to just flop forward. You may feel more extension on this side. And if you feel like you need to rest your head, it's a pretty deep stretch to actually put your elbows all the way to the floor. Let's be honest. So perhaps you have one hand on your thigh or on your calf or your shin and you're resting your head. Now, do make sure that that left leg or whatever leg, the outstretched leg, make sure that it's completely relaxed. There are a lot of muscles in there that can sneak up and tighten up, right? Make sure that also that the tops of your shoulders are completely relaxed, that you do not have any tension up in your shoulders. I will say that my week in Missoula, I'm very relaxed. That was a great trip. That did wonders for my body, for my mind, and I mean, I feel great. I feel stronger because of all of the hiking that I did, and the climbing and the running and all of that, and because I was able to do that on natural terrain and not just a road, I got a lot of different range of motion and movement in my hips and my joints, which is really ideal. I prefer to be a trail runner. And also just running on the earth instead of the concrete or pavement even, is better. So what I've noticed is just, here's my attempt at trying to get you to spend time on yourself. Also, just the time of, I did work throughout the day, but I spent a lot of downtime. I did things that I just enjoyed. And it's, I can tell. I'm back and I'm working and all of that, and I feel great all over. We're spending about another minute in this. And so this is only going to be a 45-minute class. Normally, if you're used to my yin classes, we do an hour and a half, hour 15, hour and a half. So I'm not doing a full 5 minutes per side, somewhere between 3 and 4 minutes. And normally in class, I ask you to lengthen your spine, but this you're just using the weight of your body, the weight of your bones to get the stretch. Okay, and if it feels good to flop over, then flop over. All right, I have to start and stop the tape while I'm doing that. Switch to the other side, the other leg is in front. Okay, so hopefully while I was turning that off and on, you got yourself set up on the other side. Okay, get your butt hanging off of your bolster, your blanket if you need it to. You've got your other leg propped up, and you may notice that one leg needs propping more or less than the other. Okay, so again, all you're trying to do is get your knee and your toes to point up, and this other inside foot may be able to hold the leg, to support the leg a little bit as well, and then just let yourself flop forward. So in yin also, I like to, and this kind of goes along with the supporting the head thing as well. Boy, this side is a lot tighter than the other one. Jeez. I like to use the structure of my body, my bones, particularly, and the alignment and stacking of my bones in order to support the pose. So allowing bone to be stacked, so like my wrist is over my elbow, which means that the weight of my skull is being supported straight down into my elbow, which is going right down into my shin bone, which means my muscles don't have to do anything. So if you think about gravity, if you think about the way that a building is built, okay, so think of your bones as, think of the architecture of your body. Then, trying to go about life and holding your body, positioning your body in certain ways to work with gravity. So that you're working with gravity, maybe you're working with leverage sometimes when moving yourself around. So that you're not constantly in a state of effort. Okay, there's a time and a place for a lot of effort, and I think we've gotten ourselves, I'm going to go off on a tangent for a second, not too long because we can't be in this pose forever, but I think we've gotten ourselves into a position in society where we feel like we have to constantly be doing something. And even when we're in a practice of yin or restorative, which is a practice of non-doing and undoing, we always feel like we have to be putting some effort into it, and there are these little muscles that might be engaged or things like that. But so sometimes this practice is more of a mental practice for people. Allowing yourself to just let go and use gravity and be okay with not engaging muscles. Because what happens is we get our muscles so literally uptight throughout the day, and we get our bodies so tight throughout the day that frequently muscle ends up having to act like bone to support your body. Because your body gets all out of whack, everything gets misaligned, and now the muscles are having to hold you together and support you like the bones do. Everything has its job, and muscles are not supposed to act like bone. So give your muscles that stretch. They need to be able to stretch. They don't want to be in a taut position at all times. Okay? So this is what we're doing. So really focus on trying to let go of things. Go a little bit longer in this. And if you ever have any questions about the poses that I do, or maybe how you feel after a pose, shoot me an email. You can send it through Patreon, or you can email me directly, burg@yogahappiness.us. You guys know how to get hold of me. I'm highly accessible. Any little question, it doesn't matter, nothing stupid. I don't assume that everybody knows everything about anatomy, your own anatomy, yoga. So no question is stupid. All right, let's release out of this. And let's do a symmetrical pose before we go into the next thing. We're going to use the wall here in a minute. Let's do Baddha Konasana. Again, if you have tight hamstrings, sit on a blanket or a little pillow, something that's going to lift your hips a little bit higher, and just sit on the edge of it. Don't put your whole butt on the blanket. All right, so in this, we're going for more of a diamond, okay? Usually in class, you're pulling your heels right in as far as you can, but in this, we're not doing that. So a diamond shape, wherever you can comfortably be. And now, if you feel that, so I lied, I guess I was going to try to have a class where you didn't need to have any props, but if you need them, you need them. If you have really tight hips, okay, then when you're in, this is now called butterfly, in yin. When you're in butterfly pose, the one thing that I want you to pay attention to and try out, so just sitting here like this with your legs open, if your hamstrings are really tight, so you have several muscles that make up the group of hamstrings, and doing this is stretching specific ones, you may not realize that your hip flexors are kicking in to do some work, okay? So what I want you to do, just to see, is when you're sitting like this, I'm sorry, I have to get off the blanket because it's actually pinching my sciatic nerve. So when you're sitting like this, just to see what happens, bring a blanket or a pillow underneath each thigh bone, not under the knee, but right up to the hip crease. And do your best to sort of sit forward and plop forward. Okay, so we're going to do another like headrest thing. Now, the other thing that I like to try to accomplish in my poses, so I've got this little background in Thai yoga massage. I'm giving myself little muscle massages by where I place my elbows, okay? So I'm paying attention to, like, I'm getting my elbow in between the shin bone and the muscle. No, it doesn't feel fantastic. It's a massage. I'm working on putting my body weight there. So for those of you who have never had a Thai yoga massage, I'm not intending for this to all be like a promotional thing. But if you've never had a Thai massage, then you may not be totally aware of some of the aspects of it. But you're just using your own body weight. So I give a Thai massage. I use my body weight and my bones to help release tension in muscle. And so I'm not pressing, I'm not massaging or palpating or anything like that. I'm literally putting my elbows right next to my shin and the muscle, and I'm just putting my weight down. And I'm using my weight to create the stretch for the butterfly pose, and I'm using my weight to create the massage that's going through my elbows down into my calf and my shin. So this is a good pose for a lot of reasons. Also make sure that your shoulders are soft and relaxed. But you're getting a stretch in your hips. It's a different direction because we've got the knees bent. So it's giving a different angle to your femur bone and the greater trochanter up into your hip socket, your acetabulum. We are also working on your hamstrings. And depending on how much you allow yourself to flop, you're getting a stretch on your spinal cord, which helps with your nervous system and so forth. Okay, I think we've been in this one long enough. If you need to straighten out your legs, bounce them up and down, do that. And this is where we're going to use the wall. So I want you to watch me do this before you do it. So you're going to have the wall behind you and lay down so that with your extended arms, your fingertips are just barely touching the wall. Okay, we're going to go for what's called snail pose. You're going to bring your knees in, elbows come onto the floor. You can just, so I've got my thumbs in my hip socket, or in my hip creases here. So my, this is a deep stretch. This is a forward fold. So remember to breathe. Do not hold your breath in this. Keep a nice long neck. You can hold your thighs. You're working on getting your feet toward the wall. You can have your feet against the wall and supporting your hips. You can have your elbows positioned so that your hands are just propping up your sacrum. You can have your knees bent. You can have your feet wide, legs wide. Slow your breath. It's going to be shallow. See how deep of a breath you can take. You're squishing your body pretty much because you've got the heaviest part of your body, your leg bones, on top. See how much you can relax your muscles and just let the bones flop over. So for me, the muscles that I have to keep remembering to relax are my glutes and my hamstrings. So the hamstrings are on the back of your legs, your quadriceps are on the front of your legs, so your upper thighs. We're getting a hamstring stretch. You're getting a release in your low back as well, so this helps to release low back tension, lumbar spine. You're getting a stretch on your spinal cord. This is also getting a nice stretch on your neck. It's not an overstretch because we don't have the head lifted. Your head is in line with everything, so it's not like the sort of awkward stretch you get from having a pillow that's positioned poorly on your head, under your head. What time is it? All right. Hands to the floor. Lower your pelvis down to the floor. Try to go vertebrae by vertebrae, just so we can get maybe a little bit of core action here, getting some precision in laying your pelvis down. Then lift your head. Try to keep your legs straight as you lower your legs down, watching your legs come down. And let's relax. All right, so that was a deep stretch, and I'm kind of feeling it in my low back. So we're going to do a little bit of just a twist. Cross your right leg over your left. and maybe you wrap your foot around your ankle. If you have any IT issues, you may not want to do this. So instead of crossing your legs, just keep your knees together and lower your legs to the left. Wrapped or not, lower your legs to the left, and then look to the right. Lift your head, flip it. See if you can get your right ear to point down towards the floor. Oh, gosh, this makes me stretch. Oh, it made me yawn. Oh my gosh, I needed it. Okay. Now, if you've got your head looking to the right, do your best to relax your neck muscles. Let the weight of your skull create this stretch. And breathe deeply. Notice how when you inhale, especially if you're looking to the right, your inhales and exhales are going to have a deep impact on the twist of your spine. Bring your head to center, bring your knees to center. Either lower your legs to the right, just like this, or wrap them and lower them to the right. It's up to you. Do what feels best to your body. And look to the left if that feels good to you. Oh, geez. This twist is making me yawny. It's also a really gray day. I think a lot of things are making me yawny today. Isn't Yanni a musical artist? Am I making that up? While you're here, notice the difference between having your palms up and your palms down. It might be a slight difference, but notice where you feel like maybe you can relax more. You might naturally have your palms roll in, but let's just see. So if I'm completely relaxed, my palms are up and opened up. Let your neck muscles relax. Let your belly move as you breathe. And see what all that moves and changes when you breathe from your belly. Bring your knees back to center and place your feet, well, before we place your feet on the floor, bring your hands underneath your pelvis. Let's draw circles on the ceiling. That's a nice release for your low back, even though we did some twisting. Let's go in the opposite direction. I found a creak in the floor. Yes, I did. All right. Place your feet to the floor. Let's practice Shavasana, the ultimate yin pose. Feet are wider than the mat. So for me, my feet are probably like 4 feet wide. Arms out to the side like a T. Completely relax. I'm going to turn off the light a little bit. Let your bones settle. Allow your muscles to just completely relax and let go. If you need to, tell your body it's okay to let go. The floor is supporting you. There's no chance of injury. If you do feel a pinch in your back, then take one of the blankets or pillows that you've been using and put that underneath your thighs. Not under your butt or your back, but under your thighs. It'll give you the tilt of your pelvis. It'll help your low back. Let your mind be soft. Thoughts are going to happen because you're human. That's the way that the mind works. But avoid letting your thoughts be sticky. You know, kind of let them soften and keep them off in the periphery just for the time being. If it's an important thought, you can come back to it later. But right now, just let your body and mind be soft. And if you notice that a thought comes in, notice what happens to your body when that thought when that type of thought sneaks in? Do you feel something tighten up or engage? Maybe you don't even realize it, but maybe even your neck tightens. So then feel what it's like, maybe even just as I was thinking about just sticky thoughts, the muscles around my eyes engaged a little bit. So see what you can let go of. Now start to deepen your breath. It's kind of a short shavasana, that's okay. If you want to stay longer, by all means stay longer. But if you're ready to come out, deepen your breath. Make little movements with your fingers and toes, wrists and ankles. Stretch your body, lengthen out, lengthen your legs, lengthen your arms, and roll to one side. Ease your body out of Shavasana by rolling to the side for at least a couple of breaths before coming up to an easy seated position. And once you're up in your easy seated position, just notice any sensations in your body. Notice the loudest sensations, but also the quietest ones. So I do have a headache, for example, but I also feel a lot of comfort in my shoulders and my hips and my low back. Everything feels just sort of soft, like marshmallows. Take a deep inhale. Blow it out. Deep inhale. Blow it out. One more inhale. And blow it out. Find your natural breath. Sit a little bit taller, lift the sides of your mouth, and think to yourself, may I be happy and find contentment. Bring to mind someone you love and think to them, may you be happy and find contentment. And think of somebody who needs it, somebody who's struggling, and think to them, may you be happy and find contentment. Whatever that means to them. May all beings in the universe be happy and free, and may our actions and our thoughts contribute to their happiness and their freedom. Namaste. Well, thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of your day and your week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.